Hi, welcome back. This is an original story about a birthday, a shed, and a family that thought they could control everything. What happened next will surprise you.
My parents celebrated my daughter Georgina's 15th birthday, but instead of being happy, they tried to make us feel small. They handed Georgina a little key in a soft velvet box. He thought it was for a shiny car. I could see her eyes light up for a moment. But then my parents told us we had to move into the old shed in the backyard in just 24 hours. The shed was moldy and falling apart. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just started making a plan. 7 days later, everything had changed, but not for us, for them. That morning, everything looked normal. Too normal. The house smelled like sugar and coffee, like nothing bad had ever happened. My mom hummed a little tune while she set the table. My dad polished the silverware until it shined. Georgina, my daughter, was glowing. She'd braided her hair herself and was wearing the dress I had found secondhand. She kept smiling at me and whispered, "Mom, maybe this year they'll actually be nice." I smiled back, even though a little part of me knew better. I wanted to believe too. It was her birthday after all. Every mom wants her child to have at least one happy memory. Then I saw the car outside. Silver, brand new, with a huge red bow. Georgina gasped. I didn't say anything at first. Inside, I felt something silly flutter in my chest. Maybe, just maybe, my parents were trying to be kind. Then my brother Ryan came over with his wife Amanda and their daughter Brianna. They were perfect, smiling and laughing, filling the room with happiness that left no space for anyone else. My parents treated them like royalty. "Let's start with presents," my mom said. "Food can wait." Georgina opened a few small gifts, bracelets, perfume, things that weren't really her style. Then she opened mine, a sketchbook I had saved for weeks. She hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. My dad tapped his glass. "We have one more surprise for our birthday girl," he said. My mom held out the velvet box. "You're 15 now, sweetheart. Almost grown up. You deserve something special." Georgina's hands shook as she lifted the lid. She gasped. "Vicky, is this?" I whispered, "Maybe." My heart beat fast. For 1 second I thought maybe my parents had chosen to be kind. Then my mom clapped her hands. "Before we go outside, there's another celebration." The kitchen door opened. My dad carried a huge cake. 3 layers, gold frosting with letters on top. It said, "Congratulations, Brianna." Georgina blinked. "Why does it say Brianna?" Amanda smiled. "Oh, didn't anyone tell you? Brianna passed her driving test today." Everyone cheered. My mom hugged Brianna. Ryan looked so proud. Then my mom pulled out another key with a car fob. "For our talented granddaughter," she said. The car outside was hers. Everyone clapped and cheered. I just stood there frozen. Georgina's hand went limp around the silver key. Her smile faded. Her eyes looked confused and hurt. I wanted to say something to make her feel better, but I couldn't. When the noise finally stopped, my mom turned to Georgina. "Oh, sweetheart, don't be shocked. Your keys are for something different. Your own space. You'll love it." "I own space?" Georgina asked softly. "Yes," Dad said. "Come on, we'll show you." They led us outside. The sun was bright, the grass smelled fresh, and I smelled gasoline too. They stopped at the old shed behind the house, the one I had begged them to tear down. Dad unlocked it with a loud creak. The smell hit me first. Mold, damp wood. Mom spread her arms. "Your new room, private and peaceful, perfect for you and your mother." Inside, the walls sagged. The roof leaked. The floor was soft with rot. A spider crawled across a cracked window. Georgina just stared. "You're serious?" Ryan crossed his arms. Amanda smiled. "You said you wanted independence. And Brianna needs your room inside for her studio. Isn't that wonderful?" I felt my stomach drop. Something sharp settled there. I smiled slowly. My mother's face tightened. "Thank you," I said. "I'll never forget this day." She frowned. "Don't start with your attitude, Laura." "Oh, don't worry," I said. "I won't say a word." I took out my phone and snapped a photo of the shed, the key, and their proud faces. Dad blinked. "What's that for?" "Memories," I said. That night, Georgina sat on her bed holding the key. Her eyes were dry but hollow. "Mom," she whispered, "what are we going to do?" I brushed a strand of hair from her face. "We're going to pack," I said. She nodded, biting her lip. Do we have somewhere to go? Not yet, I said. But we will. We always do. I looked at my daughter, who still felt like she had to apologize for existing, and something inside me became strong. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. But 7 days later my parents were the ones screaming. Because you don't give a child a key to a shed and call it love. What happened on Georgina's birthday didn't come out of nowhere. It was just the newest chapter in the story my parents had written since I was born. I was always the afterthought. Ryan, 7 years older, was their favorite. I was the surprise. They called me a surprise, like I was a traffic accident that could talk. Ryan could get applause for everything he did. If he got a B in math, Mom blamed the teacher. If I got an A, she asked if I copied. By the time I turned 18, I thought I had escaped that pattern. Then I met a boy who said all the right things, but he left when I told him I was pregnant. My parents looked at me like I had done something wrong. When Georgina was born, they didn't care much. They let me stay in their house because a single mother couldn't manage alone. But my room was tiny and leaky. Ryan and Amanda lived nearby in a perfect house, and every Sunday my parents brought Brianna over like she was royalty. They couldn't wait to show off their little angel. Meanwhile, Georgina walked behind me holding my leg. I couldn't see her, but I felt her tiny hand. I used to watch other kids smiling and happy with their parents, and I would think, I wish my parents looked at me like that. Money was always tight at our house. I took any job I could find. Cleaning, working at the front desk, anything that would bring in money. One day the sink broke. The plumber couldn't come and I was desperate. I found a wrench, watched a video on YouTube, and fixed it myself. When the water finally worked, I laughed. It felt good. I felt strong and capable. I wasn't useless. I decided to learn more. I went to night classes and got certified to fix things. It wasn't fancy, but it helped pay the bills. My parents made fun of me. Ryan's wife had a boutique and Mom said, "Our daughter is a plumber now." But every time a pipe broke or a light went out, guess who they called? Me. I started doing little repair jobs outside the house, fixing things for neighbors and friends. It wasn't a lot of money, but I saved every dollar. I put all the money in an envelope taped behind a drawer. My freedom fund. Someday it would help me get a home we couldn't be locked out of. Through it all, Georgina stayed happy. She loved our tiny room, the fairy lights, paper sketches, and second-hand books. Sometimes I felt guilty that she could be happy in that small, sad place. She'd say, "It's okay, Mom. It's home." I smiled, but I knew it wouldn't be home for long. She loved her grandparents even though they hardly noticed her. When Brianna came over, Mom acted like Brianna was a queen. Mom would shove cookies into Brianna's hands and say, "Don't make a mess, honey." Then she'd look at Georgina and say, "Laura, maybe teach your daughter some manners." Same cookies, different rules. That's how life was. Brianna always got the best of everything. New clothes, private lessons, birthday parties that looked like weddings. Georgina got a hand-me-down sweater and a cake I baked after work. And she always smiled. Sometimes that smile hurt me more than tears ever could. A few days before Georgina's birthday, I saw something small that needed fixing in the house. One of those little problems I always took care of. I told myself I'd fix it later when things were quieter. I didn't know then how fast everything would fall apart. When you spend your whole life being quiet, the first time you say no feels huge. Mine did. It echoed through the house long after I said it. After the birthday, after the laughter and cake for someone else, my parents told us we had 24 hours to move into the shed. 24 hours to pack up 15 years of holding back and being quiet. I didn't argue. I just said, "Okay." Then I started moving fast. Georgina followed me into our little room, still holding that useless key. "Mom," she whispered, "are we really moving out there?" "No," I said, opening the closet. "We're moving out. Period." She blinked. "But Grandma said." "Grandma says a lot of things." I was done listening. That was when my rebellion began. Not yelling, not revenge, just quietly deciding to leave. And once I decided, everything else became easier. I packed the most important things first. Clothes, papers, Georgina's sketchbooks, the photo of her first day of school. Everything else, the furniture, the memories, the humiliation, I left behind. Downstairs, I could hear my parents laughing and clinking wine glasses. Ryan and Amanda were still there, celebrating Brianna's new car. The sound made my skin crawl. Georgina sat on the bed, pale and shaking. "Where will we go?" she asked. "I don't know yet," I said, but anywhere is better than here. She nodded, trusting me completely. That kind of trust is heavy. It makes you braver than you feel. I canceled the monthly money I used to pay my parents. That payment had been leaving my account for 15 years. The screen asked, "Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment?" "Yes," I whispered. Felt like cutting a chain. When we walked downstairs with our bags, my parents looked surprised. "You're not serious," Mom said. "I've never been more serious," I said. Dad frowned. "You can't just leave. Where will you go?" "Not your concern," I said. "You're overreacting." Ryan smirked. "Good luck surviving out there, sis." I smiled back. "Don't worry. I've been surviving in here long enough." Then I took Georgina's hand and walked out the front door. The night air hit us like freedom and frost all at once. Georgina was shaking. "Mom," she said softly. "What if they're right? What if we can't do it?" "We will," I said. "We always do." We loaded our things into my old truck. Rusty and beat up, the same one Dad loved to make fun of. It started on the third try. The engine coughed like it wanted to live. So did I. I didn't have a plan, just a direction. Away. We drove until the gas light blinked. Then we stopped at a diner. The waitress looked at Georgina's tired face and gave her extra whipped cream without asking. That small kindness almost made me cry. While Georgina drank her cocoa, I sent messages to old coworkers, clients, and friends. One answer came back fast. "You and Georgina can stay here as long as you need." It was from Nora, a woman I had worked with for years. Reliable, kind, steady. "There," I said. "We have somewhere to go." Georgina smiled. A real smile. "Told you we'd figure it out." For the first time in 15 years, silence felt peaceful. 2 whole weeks passed without a single word from my parents. No calls, no guilt trips, no lessons about gratitude. Just quiet. It felt strange, almost dangerous, like walking on a frozen lake that might crack if you breathed too hard. We settled into Nora's place. Living light. Living free. Georgina started laughing again. Real laughter, the kind that makes the whole room feel happy. I started to feel sleepy. Some nights I even forgot to be mad. Then the phone rang. I saw my mom's name on the screen. For a second I almost didn't recognize it. I answered before I could think better. "Laura," she said, skipping a greeting. "What did you do?" "Excuse me?" I asked. "Don't act silly," she said. "You did something before you left." "What was it?" "I packed," I said. "I left. That's all." Her breathing hissed through the phone. "You're lying." Then she hung up. I stared at the phone for a long moment. Nora raised an eyebrow. "Problem?" she asked. "Apparently," I said, "I did something really bad, but no one will tell me what it is." The next day the phone rang again. It was Dad this time, loud and angry. "What did you mess with?" he shouted. "We can smell something. You did this." "I didn't do anything," I said. "You were the last one to touch anything in that house." "I was the last one to touch everything in that house for 15 years. Take your pick." He shouted something about responsibility. I hung up. After that, the calls kept coming every few days. Sometimes it was Mom, sometimes Ryan, sometimes numbers I didn't know. Every time it was the same, blaming, yelling, demanding. I didn't answer. I just said, "I don't live there anymore." By the third week, I stopped answering completely. It was a Friday night when they started pounding on the door. Not a quiet knock. Fists on wood, shaking the frame. "Are you expecting someone?" Nora asked. "No," I said, but my stomach already knew. When I opened the door, there they were, my parents, standing on Nora's porch like ghosts that wouldn't go away. They looked angry, tired, like they didn't belong there. Mom started talking before I could even breathe. "You have to come home now. You have to fix it." "Fix what?" I asked. "You know what. Don't pretend. It's your fault and you're going to make it right." I leaned against the door frame. "I don't fix things for you anymore." Dad stepped forward. "You're being childish. Whatever you did, undo it." "Undo what?" I asked. "We can't. Can't live like this," Mom shouted. "You owe us." Behind me, Nora appeared quietly, arms crossed. "Everything okay here?" My parents froze. They hadn't expected someone else to be there. "We're fine," I said. "They're just leaving." Mom's eyes flicked to Georgina, who had come into the hallway, half hidden. "You're teaching her terrible habits," she hissed. Boundaries, I said. Yeah, I guess I am. I stepped back inside and closed the door. Gentle but final. The house was quiet again except for the rain outside. Georgina stood there, small and steady. What did they want? To make me crawl? I asked. It didn't work, she said with a little proud, little sad smile. You're not scared of them anymore, she said. No, I said. Not anymore. Outside, thunder rumbled far away. I looked at the sky, dark and heavy, and for the first time in years, I didn't wonder what might be breaking back there. It wasn't my job to fix it. They thought I'd come running when they snapped their fingers. They thought I'd always patch the holes. But the truth was simple. I was done keeping their house together. Let them learn what happens when you push away the person who held everything up. A few days later, after they showed up on Nora's porch, the silence came back. But this time it didn't feel peaceful. It felt like a storm holding its breath. At first, I thought maybe they had finally given up, moved on, found someone else to bother. But then the messages started. A client canceled a job with no reason. A neighbor who was always friendly stopped waving. One afternoon, Nora called from work. Laura, have you seen what your mom is posting online? She asked. I hadn't. But I looked. There it was. A Facebook post that started with, "My daughter destroyed our home out of spite." Screenshots, wild claims, paragraphs of sad stories blaming me. Apparently I'd messed with the pipes and caused huge damage. According to her, I had done something cruel on purpose. Ryan and Amanda left little hearts under the post because of course they did. I sat at Nora's kitchen table, scrolling, reading, shaking. Nora watched quietly. You okay? She asked. Sure, I said. I always wanted to be famous for plumbing. The next few days were awful. Relatives called asking what I'd done. Someone posted my business page on a forum, saying, "Would you hire a woman who sabotaged her parents' house?" Half my upcoming jobs disappeared in 2 days. I didn't respond. Not yet, I thought. I took screenshots of everything. Every lie, every comment, every digital knife. If there's one thing I learned from my parents, it's that you should always save proof when someone is mean. Georgina saw me scrolling one night. She turned pale. Why are they doing this? She asked. Because losing control feels worse to them than losing everything else, I said. She looked like she wanted to cry. I just smiled thinly. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll fix this too. Just not the way they expect. 2 days later I did. I wrote one short post. No anger, no name-calling, just facts. A few photos, the velvet box, the moldy shed, date stamps from the night they kicked us out. And one sentence. We left the house 2 weeks before anything happened. We haven't been back since. By morning it had 1,000 shares. By noon 2,000. People weren't stupid. They saw the pattern. Parents who hurt, then blame. Sympathy came faster than hate ever had. Old clients rebooked. New ones called. A lawyer friend of Nora's helped me send a stop-post letter for defamation. The posts disappeared within a week. So did what was left of their reputation. Then the calls came again. But now they didn't sound angry. They sounded desperate. Laura, you have to help us. The house is getting worse. You owe us. I didn't even argue. I said, I don't owe you a thing. You gave me trauma, not a mortgage. Then I hung up. Nora found me afterward, standing at the sink, hands shaking. You sure you're okay? She asked. I'm fine, I said. But I could feel the ache in my chest. It's weird watching karma do my job for once. Weeks passed. Word spread that the house was in trouble. Black mold, floors falling apart, neighbors complaining. The insurance refused to pay. A contractor said it would cost $120,000 to fix it. More than the house was worth. They couldn't afford it. Eventually the bank started foreclosure. Ryan stopped visiting. Amanda posted inspirational quotes about boundaries like she invented the idea. Through all of it I stayed quiet. I didn't post updates. I didn't gloat. But every time I walked past a hardware store I smiled. They had thrown away the one person who could save them. The day I saw the auction notice I had to read it twice. The address was my parents'. The same house I grew up in, the one I had cleaned, repaired, and painted. Now it was up for public sale. I sat at Nora's table with the newspaper and laughed until I cried. Georgina ran over. What's funny? She asked. Nothing, I said, wiping my eyes. Everything. I circled the date. The auction was held in a hall that smelled like dust and sadness. Men in suits whispered numbers. When the auctioneer read the address aloud, my chest tightened. Bidding started high then dropped fast. The house's bad condition scared everyone away. Mold, rot, and bad news online. When the room went quiet, I raised my hand. No one outbid me. I got it for a tiny fraction of what it used to be worth. It wasn't even enough to cover the mortgage my parents still owed. Even after losing the house, they still owed the bank. But now I own the house that used to own me. A year later, everything changed. The house that used to fall apart now shines. I rebuilt it myself. Every wall, every corner. What would have cost a fortune just took me time and a toolbox. Now it's ours, paid off, untouchable. My business is booming. After people heard my story, everyone wanted to hire the woman who rebuilt her life with her own hands. I have more clients than I can handle. Georgina is 16 now. She's happy, confident, and loud in a way she never was before. Today's her birthday. I gave her a velvet box this morning. She opened it, saw the key, and laughed. It's not for a shed, right? No, I told her. It's for your car. Paid in full. Across town, my parents are still renting a tiny studio, paying off debt on a house they no longer own. Ryan and Amanda don't speak to them. The Golden family cracked under the weight of their own pride. Brianna, the car with the red bow, is long gone. I got the house for a tiny fraction of what it was worth. They lost everything. I built something better from the ruins. So what do you think? Did I go too far? Or not far enough?